Today on
Doomed!
He was just asking questions. It's his freedom of speech. Oh, you can't question an event anymore? These are some of the things that we've heard online in right-wing and conspiratorial media ever since the Alex Jones Sandy Hook trial #1 began over the summer. And we've continued to hear it since, as Alex Jones's many defenders come out of the woodwork to, well, defend him. And today, on this episode of Doomed with Matt Binder, we will be taking a look at what exactly the trials are about, what Alex Jones did, and where InfoWars, Jones, and these trials go from here. And before we do that, folks, patreon.com/MattBinder to support the show. You can also support the show by going to youtube.com/MattBinder if you're not watching the live stream. If you are and you're not subscribed, you should do that too. Subscribe to the channel. You could drop a super chat in the live chat, a super thanks in the replay. What else can you do? You can go to twitch.tv/MattBinder and follow the Twitch channel. And if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you get a free Twitch Prime subscription every month. What is that? It's a paid, for me, subscription that costs you nothing. It basically comes out of the money you're already paying Amazon. So you're just ensuring they don't get a little bit extra. They got to share what you're paying with them with me. So you can do that at twitch.tv/MattBinder. Follow me on Twitter at MattBinder. And all right, now let's go to the reason you're all here to talk about the main topic of the episode. To listen, excuse me. You're here to listen about the main topic of the episode. I'm here to talk about it. And this was recorded literally just right before we went live. My guest couldn't join me right now, but she could join me a little bit earlier. So it's fresh. It's new. If you're watching the live stream, you might notice a little bit of a difference as I queue up the video. If you're listening to the podcast version of the show, I could, by the way, doomedcast.com is where you can find all the links, and be sure to leave a review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. But if I mention nothing about taping this interview just minutes before we went live, you would have never known, podcast listeners. There's nothing visual for you to see. You listen to a podcast, and audio-wise, I don't think you'll even notice a difference. If you do notice a difference, live stream viewers, when I play it, let me know. I'll fix the audio volumes. This is all on you now, live stream viewers. Let me know how it sounds for the podcast listeners. All right, and without any further ado, Zoe will call me to correct that, I'm sure, in the second half of the show. But anyway, let's go to that interview right now. And joining me now is Anna Merlan. She's a journalist at Vice's Tech Desk, Motherboard, and the author of the book Republic of Lies. Anna, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I probably saw you more than anybody else out there covering, the daily ongoings of the Alex Jones trials.
I was tweeting a lot.
Yes. But, there was so much going on, I feel like, throughout that was almost like the best way to sort of consume it. Like, I feel like people who best way, not for your sanity, but best way if you really wanted to know everything that was going on. Because, a lot of the, a lot of the summaries and write-ups I saw sort of missed certain things that I thought were noteworthy if you were someone who actually, sort of tracks how Alex Jones and conspiracy theorists and their followers sort of, engage in and act, and how they sort of take and consume and regurgitate the events that they cover.
Right.
I feel like that was the best way to sort of see everything going on and have it laid out as it was laid out. So one thing I wanted to hit right off the top, and I think you would be absolutely great. You're a perfect person as someone who consumed the trial like this to set this record straight. One of the defenses I saw of Alex Jones, probably the most prevalent, that I saw from his most fervent supporters to even people who claim not to be Alex Jones fans, but here they are defending him nonetheless. But let's take them for their word. They don't like Alex Jones, so maybe we'll reach those few people. The thing I saw was that Alex Jones was on trial for questioning an event, and that we can't question events anymore.
Yeah, that was certainly the case that I think people were trying to make, which is sort of nonsensical on its face, because Alex Jones questions a lot of things. The only times he's been sued or threatened with lawsuits, though, are when he decides to make like individual people part of his conspiracy theories. So I've written about this a little bit, but, he obviously adopted the sort of crisis actor conspiracy theory or platform to people who did. And the only other times when he's gotten in what appears to be like some potential legal trouble, the only other times when he's been threatened with lawsuits were with Pizzagate, because he encouraged folks to actually investigate Comet Ping Pong, like to go there and to investigate, which obviously victimized the person who owns the pizza parlor and his staff. And then Chobani, when he claimed that Chobani, the yogurt company, was importing migrant rapists into Idaho. That was the wording that he used. So those were those two stories, Chobani and Pizzagate, were the ones he had to retract. Sandy Hook is the one where he ended up getting sued, and all of them involve small players. They involve people who were, like, by any stretch, not public figures before this stuff happened to them, whether it was, the parents who lost their kids at Sandy Hook, or, the pizza parlor becoming part of this conspiracy theory. And those are the people who found entering Alex Jones's cinematic universe like the most disruptive. The Queen of England or Hillary Clinton, they don't like notice when Alex Jones is talking about them, but people like this, they notice it impacts their lives. And as we heard in both of these two defamation trials, impacts their lives for years. It's been a decade since Sandy Hook happened, and they're still dealing with the fallout of Alex Jones and other folks spreading lies about them. Right.
And so when we talk about the impact, now I think that's a great point. Like a lot of, when he punches up, at, world leaders and incredibly powerful people, which seems rarer and rarer and rarer as the Alex Jones program and InfoWars rolls on. When he does that, he isn't really impacting those people's lives. A lot of people talk about Hillary Clinton and the Queen of England.
Right.
What exactly was going on with the Sandy Hook parents? For people who aren't aware what this trial was about, what were the parents of these children who were slaughtered, killed, murdered in this school in 2012? What did Alex Jones have to say about them? And in turn, how did this affect their lives?
Right. So the thing that really happened with Sandy Hook is that, Alex Jones and other InfoWars staff have said in depositions that they don't produce a lot of original ideas. They kind of jump on whatever's happening on social media. For a while, they were taking a lot of inspiration from like 4chan and other kind of like fringe message boards. And so they decided to platform folks who were saying that Sandy Hook was staged, and specifically platform folks like James Fetzer and Wolfgang Helbig, who were like naming specific parents who they believed were actors, and were sort of like obsessively, in one case, like replaying the footage of a father named Robbie Parker, who gave a press conference, I think like 48 hours after his daughter Emily died. He's clearly in shock when he gives the press conference. And at one point, before he started talking, he laughed for like 2 seconds. It's clearly just sort of this like awkward kind of like shocked laugh at the situation that he found himself in. And so that stuff like that became fodder for this just incredibly kind of virulent conspiracy theorizing about people like Parker being actors. So yeah, essentially, like this is what these cases were about. They were about defamation because Jones was either directly claiming that this event was faked and that these parents were actors. It was also about his sort of encouragement of other kind of like fringe conspiracy types, encouraging them to come on his show and say crazy stuff, encouraging them to go to Sandy Hook and, investigate and report back. So it was both about what he had said and done directly and about sort of like the behavior that he encouraged and brought to a much larger platform.
Right.
Yeah.
So when did Alex Jones know that he was going to be sued over this? Like, was this this is a long time coming, it seems like. These parents were harassed. Like, again, this happened in 2012.
Right.
Alex Jones and InfoWars' reaction to this is immediate. Like, they were covering this as if they were covering a breaking news event, already spreading these conspiracy theories. Like, this wasn't like years later they do like throw up a YouTube video with like a look back on Sandy Hook. Like, they are immediately speculating and throwing out these conspiracy theories that, again, like you mentioned, not just mentioning like, oh, we question the legitimacy of Sandy Hook, the events that happened. This is this parent, they're in on it. This is what they did. This is what they're doing. They're part of the whole thing. Right. So when do the Sandy Hook parents decide to start taking action?
Right. So Sandy Hook happens in 2012. InfoWars starts talking about it within like 3 hours of the shooting and saying, this looks phony. This looks suspicious. They did what InfoWars and Jones have done in a lot of cases, which is they point out that the sort of initial reports about the shooting conflict with what we later find out happened. This is really common in like mass shootings and mass casualty situations. One thing that happens really, really commonly is that people report seeing multiple shooters or seeing, like other people on the scene whose like presence there is unexplained. This is very common because like witnesses at events like this are in shock. Or are not perceiving things correctly, or there are multiple 911 calls that make it sound like there are multiple people. Anyway, so all of this happens. InfoWars, immediately begins speculating that this is fake. But what is unusual about Sandy Hook is that they continued doing this for at least 3 or 4 years, like talking about Sandy Hook pretty regularly in this sort of pantheon of events that they said were fake or staged or, staged with the help of actors. So the parents didn't end up suing until 2018. And this was something that Alex Jones's lawyer, Norm Pattis, made a big point of talking about in the second trial in Connecticut, and essentially trying to argue that this was like a political choice, that, the parents had been radicalized during the 2016 election, and that's why they chose to sue, which anyway.
The parents, of course, cared more about Hillary Clinton and the Democrats than Alex Jones saying what he was saying about them and their own children. Of course, right.
Right. And so one thing that Robbie Parker talked about, who's, of course, this parent who is the first person who was accused of being an actor, is that he and his wife were super devout Mormons. And essentially, after Parkland happened, they connected with a Parkland survivor who was also a devout Mormon. And the Parkland survivor started telling them that this person was also experiencing conspiracy theories spread by InfoWars about them being an actor. After the Parkers had already been dealing with this for years. And so it was all these events that sort of led the families to ultimately decide, like, we don't have another choice except to sue. But they were also pretty clear that they thought one of the reasons to sue was to try to prevent Jones and InfoWars from doing this again. That this was a pattern of behavior that Jones was going to continue until somebody made him stop. And that the effects of somebody with his platform doing this were sort of too like devastating to ignore. So interestingly, he did not do the exact same thing with the Uvalde shooting as he does with every other mass shooting. And you can speculate about why that is. You can speculate about whether or not it was because of the circumstances of the shooting, because he was being, actively sued while this was going on. It's sort of hard to say. But yeah, I mean, the parents essentially have all talked about going through a bunch of other options before ultimately deciding that they needed to sue. Because with the exception of one person, none of them knew anything about conspiracy theories. All of them were incredibly confused when this started happening to them. And so they went through kind of every stage of being harassed online, which is like, what is this? I'm going to ignore this. I'm just going to politely ask them to stop. There was a bunch of kind of like phases and evolutions until finally they sort of got together as a class and decided to sue.
Right. I remember news reports between like 2012 and when they decided to sue in 2018 of this moving off the internet, of people showing up like conspiracy theory believers, Alex Jones followers, and, followers of other Sandy Hook conspiracy theorists. They were showing up at some of these parents' homes, I remember reading. There was even, I remember like a report of like someone showing up at like one of the graves of the children. I remember. I mean, it was horrible. This wasn't just online. People need to understand this isn't just like, as dumb as that argument is that like online doesn't matter. Let's say that they even did listen to, the idea of just stay offline. Like they couldn't escape it. It came after them even if they weren't online.
Yeah, I mean, several of the parents had to deal with like threats to dig up their children. Like this is a threat that several of them dealt with, as the idea of like, well, your kid's not really in the grave that you have marked for them, so I'm gonna dig them up. Folks, were visited at home in their early like grieving period. One of the victims, Vicky Soto, a teacher, her family does like a run in her honor, and somebody who had previously appeared on Jones's show in connection with another conspiracy stunt that he did. This guy showed up at the run wearing like a Vicky Soto Memorial Run t-shirt, like a Team Vicky shirt to like kind of blend in, and started screaming at Vicky Soto's sister, who testified at trial. And she testified about deciding to engage with him and talk to him because she was with some younger family members, and she essentially wanted to like redirect so that he didn't focus on her family members and didn't find her mom. So like, yeah, it's not just that they dealt with like online harassment or like nasty Facebook comments or whatever. This was a pretty like IRL thing. They've also several of the families in Connecticut talked about, dealing with Sandy Hook conspiracy theories when they were, like trying to go back to school. Like Vicky Soto, the teacher, had 3 siblings, and all 3 of them at different points dropped out of college classes because they experienced, Sandy Hook conspiracy theorizing from classmates and just couldn't handle it, couldn't be in the room with folks who didn't believe that their sister was a real person. So no, this was ongoing. It happened in person. It was incredibly disruptive. There will be one more case that if it goes to trial, it will be about Lenny Posner and Veronique De La Rosa, who are probably the people who've been the most harassed. And if they testify, there will be a bunch more about like specifically what happened to them that is like especially disturbing. They've had to move a bunch of times. Like a lot of really terrible stuff has happened to them.
Why were they so targeted more so than the other parents?
So Lenny was himself, and he's talked about this a bunch of times, listened to InfoWars, before his son died. Noah was the youngest victim at Sandy Hook. And so Lenny, when the conspiracy theorizing started happening, he understood what it was. The other parents didn't really, but he very much did. And so he wrote a letter to Jones and to InfoWars. He wrote an email that we've seen in court testimony already saying like, we have been through enough. I'm incredibly disappointed that you're doing this to me. I was an InfoWars listener. Like, why would you do this to the parents? And that did not cause Alex Jones to stop, obviously. So Lenny ultimately started doing something where he started getting photos of Noah pulled down off of Sandy Hook conspiracy theory sites by issuing what are called DMCA notices, being like, this is my photo. I have the copyright to it. It needs to be pulled down. And that worked really well. He's also been super aggressive about working with social media companies to be like, you guys are allowing insane, hateful garbage on your platform. You need to make it stop. So he has been incredibly influential in kind of creating a path for other like victims of mass casualty events to follow. So because of that, he's been, in the sights of conspiracy theorists for a long time. He's also Jewish. And that has been a pretty like significant element in a lot of the conspiracy theories about him and Veronique specifically is the idea that he is, part of some sinister scheme because he is Jewish. So it's pretty creepy. Again, they were also photographed like early on by like news reporters who showed up at the scene, and like the fact that Veronique dressed nicely for Noah's funeral became the subject of conspiracy theories. The fact that she was able to like pull herself together enough to like put on makeup for the funeral and like try to put on a brave face became a huge element of all these conspiracy theories. So for a bunch of reasons, they have been incredibly victimized. And I know because I interviewed Lenny, they have real anxiety about this going to trial because Lenny tries not to be photographed. He tries not to have people have a good idea of what he currently looks like or where he currently lives. And if they have to go to trial, that'll go away, that anonymity. So yeah.
Right. So let's get to that. Actually, let's sort of explain this. Why were there two separate trials in completely two different places? What was there a strategy behind that from one side, or was there how did that occur? Because we had the first trial in Texas, the second trial in Connecticut. I know Jones is based in Texas. Sandy Hook obviously happened in Connecticut, but what was the reasoning behind the two trials being where they were?
Yeah, I actually don't exactly know because I haven't talked to all of his lawyers, all of the Sandy Hook lawyers about the reasoning for that. But essentially what ended up happening is that there are three cases that are proceeding to damages trials. Two in Texas, one that's already happened, one that isn't scheduled yet, and then this other one in Connecticut. And in all of these cases, as your listeners probably know, Jones and InfoWars lost by default is what it's called. So they were sued in 2018. As part of getting sued, you have to respond to what's called discovery. You have to turn over requested documents to the other side. And so the Sandy Hook families and their attorneys all argued pretty much in unison, like InfoWars isn't doing this. InfoWars is supposed to turn over financial documents and other sort of like internal documents about the running of the company as part of the lawsuit, and they didn't. Jones and InfoWars argued that they did, which is not really true. And so they ended up losing all these cases by default, meaning that they were found liable for defamation, found liable for, what they were being sued for. And so by the time these cases went to trial, in all three of them, the idea is not to determine guilt or not because liability has already been determined. It was just to decide how much Jones and InfoWars owed. So because of that, Jones is already asking for a new trial in Connecticut, and he's asking for this latest gigantic verdict that's almost $1 billion to be thrown out. And he's saying that, the default judgment against him was unfair, that he should get a new trial, that, the judge was biased in his favor. So in a lot of ways, it's making it even more, protracted for him because he's going to have to do this in 3 different trials in 2 different jurisdictions. So he's going to spend a long time in court.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when I'm good. Well, it depends, I guess, on how the Sandy Hook families feel too.
Hard to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure some of them are probably like to see what's going on. Finally, punishment for this guy who's tortured them. And then in the case of like Lenny, like you said, he would prefer that it does not go to trial.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, some of them are not involved in the lawsuit at all. Like there are a lot of folks who lost their loved ones who have decided not to be part of the legal process. So yeah, it's a range of responses. Right. Anyway, go on.
Right. Now, our in Texas, the decision in Texas, the amount in damages that Jones was determined to have to pay out, and how many families were part of the Texas case again? That was, I think, 2 or 3.
It was just one couple. It was Neil Heslin and Scarlett Lewis, whose son Jesse died. Yeah. So, and then the Connecticut case was like, I want to say like 8.
Right. That one I remember was families. A lot more. Yeah.
It was a lot more plaintiffs, and it was also not just Sandy Hook parents. It was also an FBI agent who responded to the scene, Bill Aldenberg, who's become the subject of a bunch of conspiracy theories himself. And then this last case is just Lenny and Veronique. So yeah, it's interesting. The way that it's sort of divided up is interesting. And the Connecticut case was actually especially interesting because in a lot of cases, the parents who were suing were people who had never been like directly mentioned on InfoWars, like by name. So they were people who were saying like just Alex Jones talking about crisis actors and conspiracy theories like impacted us negatively, impacted our lives, led to us getting threats, even if he wasn't saying our names, which was interesting to watch. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So for Jones in that, I remember the Texas case, the damages awarded were much lower than Connecticut, and I think that's because and it's even going to be less if any and all. We'll get to that in a second because like Texas has like a cap or something like that in terms of what could be paid out.
Yeah, so technically, yes, there's a cap. Jones is like relying really heavily on the idea that that cap will work in his favor. However, Alex Jones and InfoWars' parent company, Free Speech Systems, which is also controlled by Alex Jones, filed for bankruptcy, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection during the Connecticut case. And so the odds are very good that all of this is not going to play out in like appellate court or like, because of the caps. This is going to play out in bankruptcy court. And bankruptcy court is pretty intense about determining like how much money you have and where it is. So this is not necessarily like good for Alex Jones either. So that's like my guess at this point about what'll happen is how much he ultimately has to owe will be, or how much he has to pay will be decided in bankruptcy court. But I guess we'll see. It's gonna be years. That's the thing is like, how much he owes, whether or not he actually, ever ends up like paying it. This is going to take a really, really long time to determine. It's going to be incredibly complicated.
Right. Now, there was a moment during the
Mhm.
Texas trial, the first one, where, it went pretty viral online where Alex Jones's lawyers apparently
Yeah.
had sent the entirety of Alex Jones's text message history
Hmm.
to the lawyers of the Sandy Hook parents. What happened there, and what was in these text messages?
Yeah. So I have an email about this with one of the attorneys, and I'm like checking it to make sure that I have this right, because it was ridiculous and very intense. So what I'm remembering basically how this happened was that the attorneys were using like a shared folder to like share documents that they were supposed to provide as part of like discovery, even though they didn't. Jones's side did not do a good job providing them. So at one point, one of the attorneys for Jones's side, Andino Renal, put some stuff in the folder that the other side, the Texas lawyers representing the Sandy Hook families, realized contained a bunch of stuff, including like many years of Alex Jones's text message history. And so the Texas lawyers for the Sandy Hook families did what you're supposed to do, and they said, "Hey, you provided these documents to us. Like, did you mean to do that?" Like, and apparently, Mr. Renal, Jones's Texas lawyer, wrote back and just said, like, "Please disregard," which is not that's not like a legal term. You can't just say like, "Please disregard." There's actually like a process to like claw back stuff that you didn't mean to provide as part of discovery. So essentially, Mark Bankston, the Texas lawyer who noticed that these things were in this folder, waited for like I think it's like 14 days, 12 days or something, whatever the statute of limitations period is, and then he downloaded all of it and then just had it like legally. And so as a result of that, we were able to see text messages that Jones sent about Sandy Hook coverage, about the company's finances, like a bunch of other stuff. It was really not good. And so of course Jones, I think it's the only time I've seen him look genuinely surprised during the whole trial. He went sort of bug-eyed and he said, "This is your Perry Mason moment." So yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. It was yeah, boy, I could not have predicted that.
No, so this wasn't because I saw again some speculation online, none of which I seemed to make any sense to me. But just to set the record straight, this did not seem like Jones's lawyers playing some sort of five-dimensional chess.
No, it was absolutely not. No, it was just a fuck up. Like it was just a mistake. Like that's
Right.
it. It was just a mistake, and I think it was. I think it was a huge surprise to everyone involved, including I think Mr. Renal, who I believe tried to imply that like he had correctly tried to get back these documents, but he definitely didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently, and we don't know because I mean, maybe you've heard something, but as far as I've been updated on, we don't know what else are on these text messages. Text messages, but the lawyer for the Sandy Hook parents did sort of let on that whatever is in them, he will be forwarding to relevant, groups, and there was some, some murmurs about this possibly including, things that Jones was involved in surrounding January 6th.
Yeah, so no, yeah, Mark Bankston said that he was going to turn over a copy of the cell phone data he had to the January 6th committee, and he did that immediately. He did that, as soon as he revealed that he had it in court. I'm just like checking. He also said that several law enforcement agencies had requested it. So yeah, a bunch of people have that data now. So who knows if that will like lead to anything, but that's what happened. So
Right.
pretty embarrassing. The other thing that came up is that the that data included a bunch of confidential psychiatric records for the Connecticut plaintiffs, who obviously were not
Ah,
involved in the Texas case. So that led to a round of sort of disciplinary hearings for both of the lawyers involved, Mr. Renal, who's Alex Jones's lawyer in Texas, and then Norm Pattis, who's his lawyer in Connecticut, basically trying to determine if they had done anything wrong by passing these confidential psychiatric records back and forth. I haven't checked where that is right now. I don't think they've suffered any like disciplinary action, but no, it was a mess. It was a really
right.
like, it was a
Also,
completely insane situation. Yeah.
right. Also, I mean, this is in Jones's text message history. Is Alex Jones even supposed to have access to his the people who were suing him, their medical history? Like that seems like he
No, and
wasn't.
yeah, it's not clear to me if he ever saw that.
Okay.
That was kind of
Oh, that was
opaque
just
to
a
me.
okay. So that
It
wasn't
would be it
necessarily
would be
included
another
in the
thing.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It'd be another thing that his lawyers had. I'm not convinced he ever saw it. The other thing that we see in these trials that I guess didn't come as a huge surprise to me is that Jones is not a big email user. He does a lot of texting. He does a lot of like weird, sort of frenzied texting to his various like deputies and people who work at InfoWars. I don't think he's a computer guy,
All right.
which
Those Gen Zers love their text messaging.
they do love their text. He had like
That
really
young
weird
Alex Jones.
he had really weird emoji choices. Like at one point he was texting like a producer on his show and was using like ghost emojis for some reason. I was like, what does he think this means? So I was fascinated by that. Like a window into how Alex Jones like communicates
Maybe
was
there's a secret.
fascinating.
Maybe there's a secret Alex Jones Snapchat out there that they had to check whenever he sent that.
God help us. Uh, yeah.
So with the moving over now to the Connecticut
Hmm.
trial,
Yeah.
this one seemed to get a lot less sort of I guess mainstream coverage. I guess because the Texas one was so unique, as it was the first time Alex Jones was
Was in
put in that
court.
position.
Hmm.
Yeah. But from what I saw, there seemed to have been like a point where like maybe there was moments during that Texas trial where Alex Jones attempted to sort of maybe portray himself as taking it seriously. But I
Uh,
feel like in Connecticut he was just like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like he didn't even
right.
like, did you get that feeling too? Like there was not even like an attempt, like he just didn't even care anymore.
I mean, Jones referred to both trials as rigged, said that both judges were, part of a corrupt system against him, whatever. The one thing that I think he realized with the Connecticut trial is that he could make content out of it. So he only testified for like, I don't know, half a day. It went really badly. He like lost his temper. He sort of conducted himself in a way that like the jury definitely like noticed. Um, but he spent a lot of time outside the courthouse giving press conferences and sort of yelling in front of like a bank of TV cameras. He was way more comfortable with that. Obviously, that's his like a natural environment. He also was allowed to say stuff, obviously, when he's being interviewed on the sidewalk that he can't say in court about the trial being rigged, about, him not being allowed to exercise his free speech rights, and that's why he was in court. A bunch of shit that is not true. But that he really wanted to like make the case for. So I think he realized that being in court, uh, testifying taking the trial seriously, like even just being filmed, like sitting at the defense table, none of that was good for him. But giving press conferences, standing outside court was good for him. And those press conferences were like endlessly replayed on InfoWars. And then like the small amounts of his testimony that didn't make him look like a jerk were played on InfoWars. So he was much more engaged in sort of like making content out of the trial and figuring out how to do that without participating in the process. So yeah, this was a much weirder sort of experience in terms of how he engaged with it.
Right. So Alex Jones, the InfoWars character, showed
Mm-hmm.
up at the. I mean, there's little difference between the two, but it did seem like, he would say everything he would say during the Texas trial on his InfoWars show, and then go to the court and sort of portray a slightly different version of himself. And then in Connecticut, it was like we were getting the InfoWars guy, right there in the courthouse too.
Right. Well, and he was supposed to come back and continue testifying. Like, he had this very like messy testimony and then was supposed to come back and testify like in his own defense in the defense case and chose not to. Like at the very last minute, it was obvious that his lawyer didn't even know whether or not he was going to show up. And so he, clearly decided that, playing Alex Jones, the sober participator in the court process, was like not working for him. He also in the first trial tried to make a big show of like apologizing to Neil Heslin and Jesse Lewis and Scarlett Lewis, the plaintiffs, in a way that was really gross and insincere, seemed insincere to me. Did not do that in the second trial, was not, chasing any of the family members around the courtroom, telling them, that they were being used by the like Democrat establishment, which is what he did in the first trial. So yeah, it was very different in terms of how he chose to like engage.
Right. There was like a faux care about the Sandy Hook parents, which again, like you mentioned, interesting coming from Alex Jones of all people. But then the second trial, he just didn't even care about putting on that act.
Yeah. Well, actually, by the end of the second trial, the podcast Knowledge Fight, who, listen to Alex Jones like 24/7, pointed out that he referred to Sandy Hook again as synthetic. He used that word, which is, his way of saying that he thinks it's staged. So he used the word synthetic on his program and then actually edited it out when that segment was like uploaded to the website. So he said it live and then apparently knew enough to not have that live forever on his website. But yeah, clearly is like past the point of even pretending to give a shit or like, faux apologize, and is just back to the character that he plays on air. Yeah.
Right. Where are the free speech warriors to defend Alex Jones from the evil InfoWars censors? I mean, really?
Now, though, is the thing, right? There are many of our finest, men who tweet a lot are just on there talking about how, Jones is being made an example of. And, this is something that Jones says too. Jones is like, well, I went to trial, but the New York Times didn't, for saying that there are WMDs. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's a mixture of self-pity and self-righteousness that's working pretty well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's not surprising, watching Alex Jones over the years, but what's interesting to me was what actually did surprise me. Like, I knew he was obviously making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I did not realize just how much.
Yeah.
It was, and I think a lot of people sort of feel that way.
Right.
And I'm just talking like, I know there were, he had a lot of supporters send him money specifically for the trial. I know he received some very large Bitcoin donations, which have been, in question. But the money from his supplemental business, his supplement business was significantly more than I expected, and I already thought he was making a lot.
Yeah, I like don't have the numbers in front of me, but we're talking about many millions of dollars a year in supplements. I did a story years ago in like 2015 about his supplement business and spent a lot of time like trying to figure out how much money he was making in sort of indirect ways. And it was obvious that at that time, again, it was millions. We also know just like how much money he has moved out of the company. Like after the default judgments came down before the trial started, he moved, I want to say something like $60 million out of the company. I'd have to double check that. But just like the amount of transactions and what we can see there Jones is claiming that he's out of money. He's claiming that, no one can possibly get any money from him because he's totally bankrupt and broke. Um, I don't think that's true, but that's one of the things that the bankruptcy court will be working on. But yeah, certainly he has become very rich doing this,
Right.
like no question.
Yeah, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars just over
Hmm.
like the past maybe like 3 or 4 years, just to be clear. So we're not talking even like, over 20 years he made, 50 million, which would be a lot of in its own. But we're talking like just a few years, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's
Right. Well, and
insane.
it's crazy, but part of the point that they made during the Connecticut trial that is important is that Jones was talking a lot about Sandy Hook before he was deplatformed, before he was taken off of sites like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So, like the height of his power, his influence, his reach, the time when it would have been like maximally disruptive. So, it's entirely possible that he made less money in, 2021 than he made in 2016. I can certainly see there being an argument for that, but like the time when he was the most actively talking about InfoWars was the time when like the money hose was open and the like attention and the traffic were really at their height.
Right. Right. And we're
Hmm.
seeing too that, deplatforming some of these people, is good in terms of stifling their ability to spread, and, it curtails their reach so they can't bring on new people. But the people who are already invested, which again, he was around for a while, so he'd already developed a very large fan base. They sort of doubled
Yeah.
down after that deplatforming. So there is sometimes
Hmm.
like this spurt, like this growth spurt of money coming in from the people who are already supporters.
Yeah, that can happen, especially like right after someone is deplatformed. They can usually use that like initial
Right.
upsurge of traffic and attention to fundraise. And Jones is hoping that the same thing will be true of the trial. He has raised a lot of money on like Give, Send, Go, which is the sort of quote unquote Christian alternative to GoFundMe. Every time I tune into InfoWars, which I do at some point every single day because I my brain is bad, they're always fundraising and they're always talking about the trial. It's either him or Owen Schroyer or another sort of lesser InfoWars personality are constantly saying, this verdict is devastating. Become an InfoWarrior, buy our supplements. Like it is constant, constant, constant. So they clearly see an opportunity to make money.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about, because I remember there were some InfoWars staffers who were put on the stand.
Hmm.
What did they have to offer in terms of insight into, I guess, InfoWars and how it's run?
Yeah, the insight was lacking. I would say that the person who probably testified in the least embarrassing way was Owen Schroyer. He was,
Really?
he is like,
I am
yeah, which is
shocked.
interesting. Which is not to say that Owen Schroyer is, appears to be a good person or is particularly good at
Right.
his job, but he was sort of the least weird and off-putting on the stand in terms of he tried very hard to present himself as something like a normal newscaster, which he's not, and tried very hard to make it sound like InfoWars had fact-checked their Sandy Hook segments, which they had not. That none of that happened. But other folks who were either deposed and whose depositions were played in these court hearings, or who actively appeared on the stand, were just like it was just a mess. It was completely sort of shambolic. Like for
Wait,
the
Anna,
second trial.
are you saying that the Infowars fact checking desk was derelict in their duties? I mean, are
I
you
would
really?
say it's probably just like a trash bag full of possums fighting over like a half-eaten Entenmann's donut. Yeah, no, it was pretty like it's what you think, which is, and the Connecticut lawyers worked really hard to make this point, which is that InfoWars noticed an uptick in traffic when they talked about Sandy Hook, and so they doubled down on Sandy Hook. They're super aware of their traffic. They were incredibly like tracking the numbers, tracking how much money they were making. At the same time, yeah, they didn't have a fact-checking desk. They didn't have anything like approaching like research. They never like, they didn't whatever. They didn't dig into like court records or whatever. Like they just their research consisted of printing out posts and articles from other like sources that they considered to be reliable and reading them out loud and then like ranting about them. That's what they did. They also InfoWars made some really weird choices. Like they appointed a corporate representative for the second trial to like testify on InfoWars' behalf. She's meant to be the company. Um, the first trial, that corporate representative was like an InfoWars producer who was really strange, who had trouble sort of testifying coherently, who was like, I'm sorry to be mean. I'm saying this because it was striking. She was wiping her nose on her sport coat. Like it was, it's not something I would do in court. I wouldn't do that. The second corporate representative for the second trial was a lawyer who's never worked for InfoWars, who has nothing to do with InfoWars. She previously worked for Norm Pattis, the attorney for Jones in that trial, and she didn't know anything. And she made it very clear that she had asked for documents from InfoWars that she didn't get, that she hadn't had very many meetings with Alex Jones, that like functionally all the questions she was being asked she couldn't like answer because InfoWars hadn't made that information available to her. So it was really it was a real mess. Yeah, it was not great. It's not great.
Right. So
Yeah.
So what's next here for, like, I know you mentioned there's a possibility of a third trial, but let's put that trial aside. And because say it doesn't happen. In terms of the two trials we've already seen, of course we know, like you mentioned, that Alex Jones is declared, InfoWars has declared bankruptcy.
Free Speech Systems has declared bankruptcy,
right.
which is the parent company for InfoWars,
Right.
which is there any difference between those two companies? If there is, I could not tell you what it is, but technically Free Speech Systems has declared bankruptcy. Yeah.
Are all of Alex Jones's various companies under Free Speech Systems, or does he have other businesses that he claims? Do we know that? Like, because I know he runs Band.tv as like a separate thing altogether, even though it seems to mostly act as the video host for Alex Jones's InfoWars live stream. And then,
Great question. Yeah.
and then maybe he considers the supplement, like the e-commerce end of the business, something separate than the actual news division, if you could even call it that. Maybe the media division is more appropriate.
So this is going to come up. Yeah, this is going to come up in bankruptcy and has been a discussion already. So as best I can tell, Free Speech Systems is the umbrella, and all the other businesses are under this umbrella, and there are a lot. However, at some point in the court proceedings, InfoWars and Free Speech Systems began claiming that they owe a lot of money to a company called PQPR Holdings, who they say is like this separate company that sells their merchandise, and they owe money to them. So the Sandy Hook families have basically said in court in both Texas and Connecticut, like, PQPR Holdings is just another Alex Jones sort of shell company. This is all just a fancy way of trying to move money around to avoid paying us. Like, this guy's full of shit. They've also pointed out that after the default judgments happened, before the cases went to trial, Jones moved money out of the company and into a series of trusts that were, in the names of like his children and his parents. So Jones has moved a lot of money around, and the company, Free Speech Systems, has claimed that they owe a lot of money to this other entity, PQPR, which again, I had never heard of before these proceedings started. I'm not convinced it existed before these proceedings started. I would love to be proven wrong, or like see some evidence to the contrary. So this is going to be a big discussion during bankruptcy, is like, where the fuck is all this money? Who is actually owed money? Like, who are the creditors in the bankruptcy? And can InfoWars convincingly show that like PQPR is a separate company that should be paid back? So this is going to be, we're going to enter into the portion of the proceedings here where it's just a financial mess as opposed to just like an emotional and a testimony mess. Like, this is going to be an incredibly like insane and messy series of bankruptcy hearings. Like, already the bankruptcy judge essentially threw out the people who were representing Free Speech Systems in bankruptcy court, like fired them and was like, you have to get new ones because these guys didn't disclose a conflict of interest they had. So already it's been super dramatic for like a bankruptcy proceeding, and it's probably only going to get worse. It's much more boring and sort of like abstract and like difficult to understand from the outside. But like the big discussion is going to be like, where is Alex Jones's money? Essentially, like, where is his money, and can the families get at it? That's essentially the next question.
Right.
Yeah.
And I most recently saw, I think he was claiming that he had lost the laptop where his 10,000 bitcoins were stored.
Oh my God, I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Wow.
which I don't believe.
Who knows, man? I mean, this is a thing with rich people. You will notice this if you're around anyone who's super rich. They're real careless with their stuff. So like, who knows? But yes, that is the and whoever's giving him those Bitcoin, we also don't know. Like the Southern
Right.
Poverty Law Center wrote about this. Somebody is giving him incredibly valuable Bitcoin donations, and it's unclear who that person is.
Right, right. I should say that I had Michael Hayden from Southern Poverty Law Center on my
Yeah,
other show, Scam Economy, which talks
yeah,
strictly about crypto.
yeah.
And we talked a little bit about that. You're right. We do not know who, where all that money came from. There was early on, if I recall, this this French guy or something like that who committed suicide, and he had made a lot of money from Bitcoin. And before he killed himself, he sent money to various right wingers, if I recall. And
Huh.
Alex Jones, I believe, was one of them who got a lot of money from this guy.
Jeez,
Yeah. Uh,
that is so grim. Everything
yes.
about that makes me really sad.
Yes. Imagine the last thing
Interesting.
you want to do in your life is give a lot of money to Alex Jones.
I truly cannot. I hope to never understand that. But wow, that's really sad. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing here is that Jones and InfoWars have been encouraging people to give them crypto donations because they're harder to track. Like he did that in court, like in the Connecticut case, was like leaned into the microphone and like spelled out where to send him crypto donations and like is very eager for people to give him untraceable money. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best kind of money for him right now, because otherwise it's
Hmm.
probably going to go right to these proceedings if you give it to him otherwise, right?
It's going to go to the lawyers and ultimately the families. Yeah, like essentially he's fundraising for his lawyers and his family and the families of the people suing him right now. So,
Right.
that's a choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Does InfoWars close up shop at the end of this? What do you think?
I really have trouble picturing that.
Yeah.
Just because this is going to take so long. And in the process, while he's doing this, he is going to be able to continue raising money. I mean, InfoWars is a one property business, and that property is Alex Jones, right? So, in the event that Jones, uh, decides to retire, passes away, which I don't think is going to happen, he's going to be one of those people who lives to be 90 despite uh, seeming to live on, rage and raw meat. If that happens, then yeah, InfoWars will cease to exist. InfoWars cannot exist without Alex Jones, but I have a lot of trouble envisioning him like deciding to, retire to a farm and stop making people miserable. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think we can count on him continuing to be around for, I don't know, what year is it? 2022? I'm going to give it 5 more years of like InfoWars as we know it now before something significant changes. So check back with me in, 2027 or 2028 and let's see how it's looking.
Oh boy. Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know.
right?
I can't even imagine looking that far forward, but I know it's going to come before I know it, and I'm going to look back and
Yeah.
go, "Oh my God, this is you said this 5 years ago, Anna? Oh my God, here we are."
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll decide to devote his life to the poor and, give away what's left of his money or just, parent his children, just like stay home, like devote himself to his family. He talks all the time about
Yeah.
how important like family and God and country are. So, maybe he'll do that.
We could do a whole nother episode about the personal life of Alex Jones. Oh my
God
God.
bless. Yep.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
boy. I guess to end things here,
Hmm.
I just want to begin where we started and really drive this home. For the people out there who, after listening to Anna and myself talk about what Alex Jones is actually on trial for, and Anna gave us all the details of all the things that he's going through while up there, and none of it is because he decided to practice his free speech rights.
Mm.
This is not a slippery slope, because Alex Jones essentially defamed real people. Like, he defamed people. It wasn't just him questioning an event. Just to really drive that home, because I just could not believe that. All he did was, oh, poor Alex Jones just went like, oh, small bean Alex Jones just questioning like, did Sandy Hook happen? Oh, I guess we'll never know. And all of a sudden, that him just saying that puts him on trial. And some people were acting like he could find himself in jail, like this was a criminal case
Right.
too. Like the
Never.
idea that, yeah, it was just really
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah.
The one thing I will say is that there's a really interesting revisionist view of Alex Jones that is being promoted by like some of these like, post-left downtown New York right-wing hipster types and by people like Glenn Greenwald, who have all sort of come together in defense of Alex Jones and to talk about, how he's bullied and misunderstood. And I would say that the fact that that is happening, the fact that this new audience is like getting behind Alex Jones and, declaring their fandom for him is super interesting. And I'm curious about why they're doing that. But nothing that they are representing about what he's on trial for is true. It is just not correct. But you know, if Alex Jones wants to cast himself as like a murdered free speech warrior who, ran afoul of cancel culture and the, democratic whatever, blah blah blah, like he will find tons of people who will give him money based on that alone. So it's probably a smart business decision.
Right. Yeah, you see a lot of Alex Jones was right. That's the new
Yeah.
meme, sort of like, Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yes.
Alex Jones, like you see like some like vague, conspiracy theory out there, and you'll see the replies, Alex Jones was right, even though
Right.
it just what they're claiming isn't true. Like it's just
Right.
this bizarre sort of, like you said, like reimagining of Alex Jones, or retelling of what he said. I mean, true story. Over the summer, I was invited to the Tim Pool show, and
Oh.
I was at the Tim Pool compound, and they had a jar there that said, the Alex Jones was right jar that had stacks of
Hmm.
cash in there that they had filled every time one of Alex Jones's predictions was right. Clearly, nothing he said has ever come to fruition.
It's
This was
yeah.
just a bizarre, from the far right to, like you mentioned, this weird like post left contingent
Hmm.
trying to reframe who Alex Jones was. And I just don't get it. This is the guy. This is the guy you want to
It's an
hang your hat on.
interesting,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting use of their time, but yeah, I guess if I didn't have a real job, I would have, endless amounts of time to devote to shit like this too. So, good for them, I suppose.
Right. Right. Anna Merlan, journalist at Vice's Motherboard and author of Republic of Lies. Thank you so much for joining me today and for walking us through all of this. I really appreciate it, and hope to have you back on to cover this and talk about other things too.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
And I forgot, I should say, to ask Anna to promote some links in upcoming stories. So I want to make it clear. There is a link in the description of the YouTube live stream and on the Patreon. And when the podcast goes up, in that description, a link to Anna's pieces over at Motherboard. And you can follow her on Twitter at Anna Merlan. And again, just the way her name is spelled, you could just look right there on the title of the episode. It's right there. Be sure to give her a follow. All right, folks, we are now going to go to the second half of the show, where there is much to talk about. I will take your phone calls. I will read your live chats. And yeah, all that fun stuff's going to happen. But before we do that, once again, patreon.com/MattBinder to support this show. And let me give a shout out to the people who've become patrons since the last episode. That was the 18th. And so, yeah, let me give a shout out to Iron Lightning, Roman G, John C, Ziggy L, and Brynheed. Thank you guys and gals so much for supporting this show. Again, this has been a rough month for everybody. And from what I've seen, whether it be, podcasters, YouTubers, Patreon creators, or even like various different like services you pay for online, I've been seeing a lot of people say that October's been a rough month. They've been losing subscribers. So it seems like everyone's getting hit hard right now. This has been a rough month for us on the Patreon as well. So patreon.com/MattBinder, if you can afford to do so. If you cannot, I totally get it. I always say, take care of yourself and your family first. This show is something you spend your money on when you got some extra cash in your pockets and you want to say, hey, Matt, I appreciate what you do. I enjoy what you do. Here's some cash to keep it going and growing. So if you can do that, please do so. And if you can't, please don't. And if you can't, there's other ways to support the show. YouTube.com/MattBinder. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you have a one-off you want to give, like $1 or $2 or whatever, not a subscription, that's cool. You could do that via the live stream, live chat. And I will read all those super chats, by the way, in the second half of the show that we're going into. You could also drop a super thanks on the replay of this show, or the replays of any of the previous live streams. You can also go to twitch.tv/MattBinder and connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you get a free Twitch Prime subscription to subscribe to my Twitch channel with. It costs you nothing. It forces Amazon to take a small sliver of your Amazon Prime subscription that you're already paying them and hand it over to me. It seems like a win-win-win-win-win-win-win, honestly. Don't see why you wouldn't do that if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber. I mean, if you're already giving it to some other Twitch creator, I get it. Totally understand that. Oh, also, this is probably the time this probably goes up as a podcast. I'm assuming we're going to blaze past that. But we are also just 5 followers away from 3,000 followers on Twitch. On Twitch, followers are the equivalent to YouTube subscribers or Twitter followers. Those aren't 3,000 people who are paying me. I mean, I wish. It's just 3,000 people following the channel, but that's good. It means we got 3,000 people who get a heads up every time I go live on Twitch. That's a big help. So be sure to drop a Twitch follow on twitch.tv/MattBinder and drop a Twitch Prime subscription if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. And let me thank some people who threw me that Twitch Prime subscription right now. Tim Bob RN resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1 over on Twitch. Subscriber for 10 months. Let's go doomed, says Tim Bob. XGP Ryu, subscribe with Prime. Thank you. So boring, subscribe with Prime. Thank you. Let's see. Eagle Left, subscriber Prime, subscriber for 2 months. Also, we got Corn Pop for Prez, subscriber Prime, subscriber for 7 months. That's a resubscription, by the way, when it pops up again on my feed. Mark Brent Lee, subscriber Prime. R Factor, subscriber Prime. Nug Wrangler, resubscriber Prime, subscriber for 10 months. Thank the Gaming Dandy subscriber Prime. Thank you. Thank you all so much for the subscriptions. Oh, Ponderosapine resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1, subscriber for 10 months. I came up with this quote just a few minutes ago. Just to be clear, I'm not a professional quote maker. I'm just an atheist teenager who greatly values his intelligence and scientific fact over any silly fiction book written 3,500 years ago. You just got, I can't even read what you're saying. It just cut your comment in half. I guess you threw out too much for Twitch to handle. Oh, and Valanova just gave out 5 community gift subs. Thank you so much, Valanova. We had a hype train going too over on Twitch. Thank you so much. Once again, doomedcast.com for the podcast version of this show, where you can get all the links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Leave a review on any of those platforms. Also, check out my other show, Scam Economy, at scameconomy.com. What else? Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Twitter.com/MattBinder or at MattBinder, whatever you prefer. Let's go to the second half of the show where you can call in. Just open up Skype, type in Doomed Live, one word, Doomed Live, and I will take your calls. I saw there were some critics and haters up in the live chat over there. This is an open call for you guys to call, and I love talking to people who don't agree with me. It's my favorite thing to do, and I believe it makes this show a lot different than some of the other shows out there, whether it be a right-winger show or whether it be a quote-unquote lefty show, as in a lefty who isn't really a lefty because they're like a COVID conspiracy theorist pushing ivermectin, or they're claiming that Ukraine should give some of their country to Russia in order to stop the war there and not ask anything for Russia, because who's the real victims here, I guess, in that war. We'll be talking about a lot in the second half and your calls. So yeah, for people watching live, for patrons, you don't have to go anywhere. You're going to get all this. If you are just listening to the podcast version of the show, I'm going to take a break for you for a second. If you're watching live or if you're a patron, so give me a second after this. But if you're a freebie podcast listener, this is where the show ends for you. And this is where I'll say, I will see you all next time on Doomed.
Ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, voter suppression, austerity economics, educate the masses, rampant homophobia,
We got our first caller.
What's up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today? I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're What makes you a liberal?
I'm pro-Green New Deal. Are you? Yes, really? Absolutely. I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
You mean like free college for black people?
We are back once again. That is the theme song for the second half, created by our regular longtime listener, Renee. And every time I play it, I don't know why I notice something new. I mean, there's not a lot going on in that, but I never realized that specific line from Tim Pool that you put in there from when I was on the show. Yeah, that's. Oh boy. Well, we are back. So here we go. Let's we got thank you, Robot Monkey Cat. Resubscribed at tier 1 subscriber for 12 months. You've been a subscriber on Twitch to my channel for a year, my friend. Thank you so much. And I should say we now have 3,000 Twitch followers. Time to throw a little party. Yay. Woo. Thank you. Now let's. Oh, I forgot to open the phone lines. Should I open the phone lines or should I get to this clip? I see a lot of people talking about. The Fetterman Dr. Oz debate that just went down. I just seen clips, so I can't speak too much to it. I obviously did not get a chance to really talk about it. I mean, I haven't got a chance to really see it, so I can't really talk about it, but I'll say this. Clearly, John Fetterman is still, recovering from his stroke that he had just 6 months ago. In a lot of interviews, one-on-ones, I've thought he's been very well spoken. During the debate, I've seen a few clips now, it's clear that he's able to deliver lines very well if it's something he's ready to go with, comfortable saying, something he can answer right off the bat. But for things that require, a little more nuance in thinking, clearly he was slurring some of his words, misspeaking a little bit, but his views and points were still there. Like, it's not like the guy is mentally incapacitated. He's just recovering in terms of how his thoughts are coming out via his speech. Like, there were a few places where he meant to say word A and word B, and he said word B, then word A. Or he said word A and word B together. But it wasn't like he wasn't understanding the questions, or he was giving nonsensical answers, or he was giving completely off-the-wall answers that didn't represent John Fetterman. Clearly, his impediment is that he's recovering, and when it comes to a point where he has to, participate in a debate, which is hard and people get nervous, he is having trouble, extra trouble, I should say, in his speech when his brain has to also handle all that stuff. But at no point was he mentally unable to answer the questions. Everything came through completely fine in terms of the point he was trying to get across. So yeah, if you want to say, did he do good in the debate? It was a hard debate for him. No, he didn't do great. He did as well as you could expect a recovering stroke victim could do. What I thought was more telling was Dr. Oz's response to Fetterman. He was mocking his speech in the clips I saw. It's kind of low. You don't need to do that. I mean, what an asshole, honestly. He also said, when asked about restrictions on abortion, Dr. Oz said that it's a choice that should be made, and I'm not shitting you. Dr. Oz said it's something that should be made, a choice that should be made between doctors, women, and local politicians. I shit you not, he said. I mean, I'll find the clip. Let me get the clip. Let me get the clip, because it is amazing. Way more insightful than, John Fetterman's having a little bit trouble speaking just 6 months after his stroke. I mean, that's not insightful to me. If that's what you're taking away from this, then I think you're missing the big picture here. Where is this? Okay, let's play this clip. We gotta play this fucking clip. Truly, truly, truly unbelievable. Where is this? Here we go. Pulling this up. All right, let's play this clip.
There should not be involvement from the federal government in how states decide their abortion decisions. As a physician, I've been in the room when there's some difficult conversations happening. I don't want the federal government involved with that at all. I want women, doctors, local political leaders, letting the democracy that's always allowed our nation to thrive to put the best that's happening. I don't want the in the room when there's some difficult conversations happening. I don't want the federal government involved with that at all. I want women, doctors, local political leaders, letting the democracy that's always allowed our nation to thrive to put the best ideas forward so states can decide for themselves. Contrast that with my opponent, John Fetterman, who on this debate stage said...
Listen, I want, let's be clear here what I want. What I want in that room with my wife, my sister, my friends, my daughter, I want, when they're having that very important conversation with their doctor, I want the doc in there, obviously. And then, of course, I want the local politicians in there. I mean, of course, that's what you want in the medical room, right? You know, when your woman's up there sitting on the table, you know, feeling worried about the pregnancy. And again, we're talking about situations where the woman could very well want to carry her pregnancy to term. Like she wants to have a baby. But something is going wrong. Something's not right. The local politicians need to be in there, of course, to guide that woman as to whether they should have carry the pregnancy to term or not. This is what everyone should be talking about. This is the clip everyone should be talking about. This is the most telling thing. This is not about someone stuttering or slurring, yet still completely mentally fit and remains steadfast in their political beliefs, in their ideologies, in what they truly stand for. This is what should be taking all of the media attention. A moment like this. But of course, they'll focus on Fetterman. They'll focus on Fetterman. It's what, you know, it's what they'll do. And I just think this is way more telling. This tells voters way more. Like what job can't Fetterman do if he's not great at speaking for the next couple of months, rest of the year? We see he's up and about. We see he's completely able to communicate in one-on-one situations. He's completely mentally fit. I mean, that to me is the most telling part. It really is. It really, really, really is. There's another thing I want to play. Should I get back to this? Or let's... Should I do this now? I don't know. Should I do this now? All right, let's play this because I was not expecting this. This is very bizarre. Very bizarre. So, and then I'll take calls after this. So when was this? Let me get the date right here. So when was this? It was yesterday? All right. I don't remember when I tweeted this, because that's how much I don't even think of it. So on Monday, the Surfs, Lance of the Surfs has been on this show before. The Surfs tweeted out this clip of Jimmy Dore and his guest, Jackson Hinkle, the creator of MAGA communism, talking about that clip that I played on this show last week. It was a local news clip about parents at a school harassing a teenage girl for creating a mural in their like health room or nurse's office that basically said like health first, safety first. And it was a mural of a bunch of kids. It was like a painting on the wall of all these kids of all colors. Very, diverse crowd, God forbid. Just smiling, having a good time, playing in a field. And in this mural, there's various different doodles, representing different things that the teens are into nowadays. And the parents in this clip were basically at a meeting harassing this teen girl who created this mural, grown adults harassing this teen girl for creating this mural that they said was trying to push a trans agenda because one of the kids were wearing in the mural wearing like a trans flag on their shirt. And also there was satanic witchcraft imagery, which turned out to be like a character from a video game that kids are playing. But anyway, I was watching this clip and it was very interesting to me that Dore and Hinkle didn't seem to just steadfast point out what was going on in this clip. I mean, Hinkle practically sided with these parents. But let's hold that aside right now. Let's get to the crux here. So I tweeted out I tweeted a comment about a Jimmy Dore clip that the Surfs posted on their Twitter account on Monday. And I totally thought nothing of it after I tweeted it. We're now almost 2 days later, and I receive a reply to the tweet. And the reply says, let me pull it up on the screen here. Jimmy literally says, I'm for the mural. And again, this is talking about that local news clip that showed these parents engaging in an anti-LGBTQ and satanic panic type thing, even saying there's witchcraft imagery, satanic imagery in this mural, harassing this teen girl to tears, the girl who created it. So this Twitter account says, Two Coats is their name, and their Twitter username is @libtard01. Jimmy literally says, I'm for the mural, showing support for the teen girl and her artwork. He's against canceling Halloween, which is why he says both sides. I get you hate Jimmy, but can you just one time tell the truth about what he's saying instead of clipping and twisting it? And I'm like, whoa, this tweet, this reply to my tweet's getting a lot of attention. For just a random reply, 9 retweets, 98 likes. And so I check out who this person is, and they're really just a nobody, which is fine, but 55 followers. Their Twitter account seems to just, let me go to the replies because that's really where they're posting. Their Twitter account seems to solely be replies defending Jimmy Dore. There they are sharing a video attacking Sam Cedar's criticisms of Jimmy Dore. There we go, another Jimmy Dore tweet. Some retweets of COVID conspiracy theories. Anti-Ukraine. See, there's some more COVID conspiracy theories. More Jimmy Dore promotion, more Jimmy Dore promotion, more Jimmy Dore promotions. Really just an account almost solely defending Jimmy Dore in replies, tweeting pro Jimmy Dore stuff, and then tweeting out pretty much the same sort of content that Jimmy Dore talks about on his show, which again, fine, maybe it's a Jimmy Dore fan. But I was struck by the interest this random reply to an almost 2-day-old tweet got. And then I check. And the first person who retweeted it is Jimmy Dore. Now I'm thinking, that's weird, but maybe, no, look. There's no Jimmy Dore tag. He doesn't tag at Jimmy Dore in this tweet. No, he doesn't. That's fine. Maybe Jimmy Dore is a name searcher. I mean, that's really lame. You know, people who go on Twitter and search their name, without the @ in hopes of finding people like, subtweeting them. Maybe Jimmy Dore is one of those, whatever you think of it. At least that would explain how Jimmy Dore found it, and that would solve that mystery. Nothing more there. But look at the tweet. Jimmy literally says, he refers to Jimmy Dore again, but he just says, I get you hate Jimmy. He never says Jimmy Dore. Is that to find this tweet, you would have to search just Jimmy. And let's just do that. There's probably gonna be some vulgar stuff, maybe. Who knows? But let's just search Jimmy on Twitter, and let's pick latest. Literally, we're looking at 5 tweets with the word Jimmy in a 5-second time span. Let's refresh this. Almost brand new tweets coming in just a span of seconds. There you go. There's some more tweets coming in. So I'm really questioning what's going on here. So then I look at, and let me pull this up here. Let me pull, because I don't want to get to my I don't want to dox people who are tweeting at me. But then I look at my replies, and now I can't tell the exact time Jimmy Dore retweeted it. But I can see when the first person replied to Jimmy Dore's retweet, because it includes me, that Twitter account with the 55 followers, and it would include at Jimmy Dore, because they'd be replying to Jimmy Dore's retweet. So let's go to this. Okay, I found the tweet. Let's zoom back in here. Oh, wait, let me go back to the right one here. 1 second. All right, here we go. And so the original tweet from at libtard01 with the 55 followers was posted at 7:38 p.m., October 25th. That's right now. That's today, just a few hours ago, 7:38 p.m. And the first person replying to Jimmy Dore's retweet comes in almost right away at 7:41 p.m. So that means Jimmy Dore retweeted this 55-follower Twitter account who did not @ him, who did not even type the words Jimmy Dore in their tweet, so you could find it if you search for the search term Jimmy Dore on Twitter. Jimmy Dore retweeted that tweet because I don't know, that's when someone replied to his retweet of the 55-follower tweet. So sometime within the 3-minute span that libtard01 tweeted this at me, Jimmy Dore found it and retweeted it within 3 minutes of this tweet being posted. And now I'm really thinking, I gotta give Jimmy Dore the benefit of the doubt here. Jimmy Dore might follow the guy. And even though this is a reply, Twitter's weird sometimes. Maybe the tweet came up in Jimmy Dore's feed. So I'm looking at the 55 followers. This guy's a big Jimmy Dore fan. So maybe Jimmy Dore is a follower of his. Let's scroll right now through all of @libtard01's tweets. Followers. And see if Jimmy Dore's on this list. It's 55 people following him, so it shouldn't be that long. I'm looking through here. I'm looking. No, Jimmy Dore does not follow this guy. So that begs the question. How the hell did Jimmy Dore find this tweet from a 55 follower account that he does not follow, that did not @, him, that did not write the name in full Jimmy Dore so that it's easily searchable? How did he find this tweet within 3 minutes of it being posted for him to retweet it to his followers? I have a theory, but I'm the real deal here. I don't put forth wild conspiracies. Some people would say that this is proof of a sock puppet account, and the reason this all happened the way it did was because @libtard01 is actually Jimmy Dore tweeting this stuff, and then pretending it's not him tweeting this stuff so he could retweet it to his followers so then they could retweet it. Some people would come to that conclusion. I have opinions about that, but I don't have proof beyond what I just showed you to lay out, how that theory could be a possibility. I am really confounded here at what's going on. It's just a very interesting series of events. And now here, let's get to the substance here of what's being said. So @libtard01, who may or may not be Jimmy Dore, replied to this tweet that I posted yesterday. And at first I want to say that let's read the tweet again. @libtard01 says, Jimmy literally says, I'm for the mural, showing support for the teen girl and her artwork. He's against canceling Halloween, which is what he said, which is why he says both sides. I get you hate Jimmy, but can you just one time tell the truth about what he's saying instead of clipping and twisting it? Now, if you haven't seen those clips, this probably means nothing to you. I'll get to them in a second, but I want to address this. If I was wrong, Jimmy Dore could have easily just reached out to me and said, hey, this clip from the Surfs is leaving out some context. And I would have went to the clip in full and I would have watched it and I would have seen, hey, wait a minute. That's not what was going on here in this clip. And I would have been happy to retract. I would have deleted this above tweet. I would have screenshotted it first, and I would have posted a screenshot of it after I deleted it, explaining why I deleted it. I've done that before because I'm not out here to misrepresent or lie. I have corrected content I've put out that turned out to be wrong or changed. Doesn't happen often, but I've done it and I've got no problem doing it. It's a sign of someone taking their job seriously to make sure that the record is corrected. But as you'll see, I didn't delete this tweet yet. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's not wrong. It's not wrong whatsoever. I will now watch. As you can see, the Surfs clip starts with this mural, and I'll watch both clips here. I'll watch both of these clips here via the Jimmy Dore channel, so you can see what their take on everything was, and I will explain to you why everything I said here is correct. Let's play the Jimmy Dore coverage of these two clips right now.
So the woke people are having a problem with Halloween. You think I'm kidding?
This morning, parents speaking out as school districts across the country opt to cancel Halloween celebrations.
I feel like it's just crossing the line, and it's just, where does it end? So next people are going to be offended by pumpkins. So we're going to take away pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns or pumpkin carving.
Lower Merion School District in Pennsylvania ending the Halloween tradition after more than 50 years. In the past, students who did not celebrate Halloween had to sit in the library.
That felt a little exclusionary. It didn't really feel like it was generating that sense of belonging that we hope to have in our schools.
And since we can't, we'll just get rid of it. Since some kids don't want to participate, we just get rid of it. That's not how life is supposed to work, and it's how it works now, and it's the beginning of the end of our culture.
This is just, I don't care about his commentary here. Let's continue here.
Since some kids don't want to
I want to continue playing this.
Been canceled at Brookside Elementary. That's according to radio station KTTH, which reports the principal said many see Halloween as a fun, candy-filled holiday, adding, this is not the case for all. Halloween celebrations are exclusionary for students who come from certain cultural or religious backgrounds. And outside Lansing, Michigan, Holt Public Schools is saying no to all holiday celebrations, banning Halloween costumes on campus, calling them a distraction.
It's one day. They have lots of different celebrative days, dress up days, school spirit days, and what's wrong with the Halloween day?
It's exclusionary because some
Let's keep playing this clip. Oh, and there's Jackson Hinkle. But I want to get to the clip. Let's keep playing the clip. So that's the end of that clip. Okay, fine. That's the end of the Halloween clip. He brings Jackson Hinkle on.
To celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day.
And I want to be clear what they titled this video. I want to Halloween canceled by woke school administrators. Okay. Except, they just watch this clip and they don't check out anything else. Because the Philadelphia Inquirer actually did a follow-up called "A Halloween Parade Was Canceled, Big Deal." This isn't cancel culture run amok. And so in this article, the author actually says they were really disappointed it was canceled. It was ridiculous, they thought, until they actually spoke with the woman who gets a sentence. You see her in the very beginning of the clip. She gets a sentence out. This woman here. Where is it? There she is. That's Amy Buckman, the Director of School and Community Relations for the Lower Merion School District. And once you find out why and what's going on here, you'll be shocked to learn that Jimmy Dore is not covering the whole story here. I mean, personally, I think, so what? But that aside, people clearly cared, like that middle-aged man. I mean, maybe if you want to show that this is a big deal to the kids, maybe get a kid on the record saying they're disappointed or something. But that guy, that 30, 40-year-old man, very hurt by Halloween being canceled at the school. But here is what Amy Buckman said to the Philadelphia Inquirer. The parade isn't, this isn't quoting her. This is what the Philadelphia Inquirer wrote up. This is who wrote this piece. Allison McCook of the Philadelphia Inquirer. And let me screen share this here. The parade isn't an optional after-school. The parade isn't an optional after-school activity like sports, and a guard that's now stationed there, by the way, at the entrance of every elementary school in that county, in Lower Merion School District, I should say. There's now a security guard there because of all these school shootings there's been. The parade isn't optional, and a guard can't screen every person crowding around the school perimeter to see the kids. The district is also right across the river from Roxborough, where there was just a school shooting last month. According to Buckman, there is no way to guarantee the safety of an entire school population surrounded by unscreened community members. What has happened at schools across this country could happen at any school. So number one, the safety issue is literally because the gun control and the gun safety in this country is so lacking because the right, not woke school administrators, the right has got in their way and put their right to bear arms, any shape, case, and form without any sort of regulation. That right to them is more important than school safety. And when school safety comes after that right to bear arms without any restrictions, what you get is events being canceled due to these very legit safety concerns. Furthermore, wait for it, I see people saying, why can't they dress up? Not every parent can spend weeks working on spectacular homemade costumes or afford to buy one. Also, parents can't take off work to watch the parade in the middle of the day. So it's not just a religion thing, like, you know, the Jimmy Dore was stating, and also that local news piece, to be fair. Also, if it was a religion thing, it would be from Christians too, who are up in arms over any sort of satanic imagery. So the right would bear blame there too, wouldn't they? But there are people in the chat asking, why can't they dress up? Wait for it. The kids at Lower Merion will have ample opportunity to celebrate the holiday, Buckman said. Halloween is not canceled. Halloween falls on a Monday this year, and that day, kids have the option of coming to class in costume or an outfit that reflects their interests or personality. I imagine we're going to have a lot of kids in Phillies t-shirts and Eagles t-shirts, she predicted. They will be able to play games with their class. Then all schools have an early dismissal so the kids could get a head start on their Halloween activities if they so choose to do trick-or-treating, go to Halloween parties, or otherwise. Halloween's not canceled. The kids can wear the costumes. They're only canceling the parade because A, they can't have enough security guards at each and every one of these schools in this district to monitor every single, place where the kids are parading around. And there'll be so many people watching that they can't have that many security guards with eyes on everybody. That's one. And two, they think it's unfair for kids who don't have parents who could come watch the parade, that they don't get to have their parents partake and enjoy the parade with them. This is what this hubbub is about, which Jimmy Dore is doing a video segment on, which he titles Halloween Canceled by Woke School Administrators. So Matt, I'm confused. Why are you bringing up, this is what you're saying, by the way, I'm now going into my listener voice. Matt, why are you bringing up Jimmy Dore's Halloween is Canceled video when what we're discussing here is this mural? Well, I'm glad you asked that. Because Jimmy Dore included the insane news story that featured a teen girl literally being harassed, called a liar, being accused of partaking in satanic activity, witchcraft, a plethora of horrible accusations. Parents, grown adults, literally bringing a teen girl in tears due to a satanic moral panic in the year 2022. He included that clip in this segment. And in that segment, that's when he says, let me pull this back up. that's when he says the things he did. So let me play the clip from the Surfs that I was responding to now. Again, this clip is part of that longer Halloween is canceled when it's really not news story that Jimmy Dore covered on his show. This comes right after the portion I just showed you.
Parents alleged the video game character is actually a depiction of Satan and that the hand symbol is demonic, with several even using the word witchcraft to describe it.
That's not what I'm a part of, and that's not what I'm trying to put out there.
As for the transgender flag, one parent implied it's a sickness. No decision was made on the future of the mural at Monday's meeting. In Grant, Nate Belt, 13 on your side.
And we begin tonight with the...
I'll be bringing Jackson the Hair Hinkle. So there you have both ends of the political spectrum equally mental.
And that's what I said Jimmy Dore said. Both sides are crazy. What I said exactly. The whole thing here. Here's my tweet. These guys watched that insane video of grown adults harassing a teen girl to tears over a painting, and this was their conclusion. Hinkle sides with the parents, which we'll get to in a second, and Dore says both sides are crazy. Literally. Dore watches that clip, and his takeaway is both sides are crazy, because he also played that Halloween is canceled when, again, it's not. Dore got this wrong. Clip before that. And Hinkle goes on to say, you know, we could just play Hinkle's thing so you could see why I said what I said about Hinkle.
So there you have both ends of the political spectrum equally mental.
Yeah. Yeah. The devil thing's a little weird, but
what that drawing of that devil thing?
Why is there a devil on the painting?
I don't know. It was a...
Oh, okay. So yeah, he's siding with the parents, Hinkle, right there. I don't care what he says afterwards. I don't care what hedging they're doing. Their first reaction after seeing this girl harassed by adults, creating this insane moral panic that's clearly part of a broader anti-trans thing going across the country right now, that's playing into this broader satanic moral panic that's being revived all over this country. He decides at the end of seeing that clip of this girl in tears, he says both sides are mental. And I want to show you why they played it off this way, because it's very clever. It's very clever. It is actually very clever of him. It's very clever of him. So that clip, both the mural and the Halloween news story, both are part of this video titled Halloween Canceled by Woke School Administrators. And I want you to just really focus on that. The focus of this segment, the title, the headline right there, does not make any mention whatsoever about the girl who's being harassed by adults for a mural, for a painting. The focus is on that first story, which, again, according to Dore, the Halloween story is proof that the left has gone crazy because they canceled Halloween. Untrue. We now know untrue. And the second story is proof of the right going crazy, right? Where is any mention of the right going crazy in that headline? Where is any mention of the girl being harassed by insane conspiratorial right-wing parents in that headline? And why is that? Because they know Jimmy Dore knows what's going to get him that 101,000 views. It's speaking to that right-wing audience and attacking the libs and the left. And don't take it from me. I'm not speculating. Just look at how Jimmy Dore's own viewers are interacting and commenting on this video with. Halloween. The Halloween story here. The Halloween story here. The irony is that Halloween is the one time of the year where everyone invites you to dress and look as crazy as your heart desires. Another Halloween. Halloween. The Halloween story. This one doesn't even mention either. The Halloween story. 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 Halloween story. Halloween story. Halloween story. Oh, here we go. Someone finally mentions the mural. Halloween story. Halloween story. Halloween story. Oh, another one mentioning the mural. Halloween story. Halloween story. Halloween story. Halloween story. Halloween story. Somewhat. Halloween story. Halloween story. Mural attacking the kid, saying the mural sucks. Halloween story. Halloween story. You get the point. You get the point. You get the point. So no. No. I do not. Let me go back to my original tweet. There's no retraction. You, Jackson Hinkle and Jimmy Dore, watched a video of a teen girl being harassed over an insane conspiracy theory that's spreading across the country. And then they watched a false piece of news that claimed the school district was canceling Halloween, which isn't even close to what's going on. And their first take was Hinkle saying, that devil image in the mural is weird, siding with the parents. And Jimmy Dore saying both sides are mental. I froze. Shit. Hopefully that just fixed it. There we go. I don't know why that's been going on, but it's happened a few times. All right, well. How long was I frozen for? What, does anyone remember when I got frozen? Oh, shit. How long was I frozen for? Oh, well. 5 to 6 minutes. Oh well. Womp womp. Hopefully I could still clip that for the for the YouTube channel. I don't know why that's been happening. It sucks. I'm not frozen now. Now I'm really interested in seeing when it froze. Oh well. Womp womp. All right, let's go to the... Oh, let me open the phone lines. I can't believe it froze. I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed. Damn it. All right. I am looking at it right now because I'm so pissed about it. All right, let me open the phone lines. Oh my God. I don't understand why that happens. All right, phone lines are opening. Open up Skype. Search Doomed Live. What did I just open? Did I not open? Oh, yeah, I did open it. Okay. I will take your calls right now.
Hey, Matt, what's up?
Hey, is this... Oh, Dave from Jamaica.
What's up?
Oh no, it took both of you. I'm gonna have to hang up on one of you. Hold on. Sorry, Spock. I'll take you right after. Call right back in. I don't know why that happened.
We hit the button at the exact right moment.
Yeah, I think I might have. Weird. I only hit one of you, but you both got pulled up. What's up, Dave from Jamaica? What would you like to talk about?
Well, first, I guess the Fetterman stuff. I didn't watch the whole debate, but I got good chunks of it. And I do think, at least my personal opinion, due to how people are, with people who have experience with people recovering from strokes and whatnot, it wasn't good look for Fetterman. I mean, for the layman, they will be like, oh, they get concerned and whatnot. So, that, I guess we need a few days to process it, though, right? To see what the effect is. But maybe Dr. Oz looking like an asshole will help out. But yeah, I think he needs a couple more months of recovery before because he's still having problem with phasia and all of that.
Right.
So
I feel like he was in a situation where he had to do the debate. Otherwise, there'd be speculation about him. And obviously, I think they were hoping that he would have been a little bit more like he is in those interviews, those one-on-one TV interviews. But it's a different beast. Debating is different. And obviously,
he wasn't a good debater from the jump. So
that's what I've heard. I've heard he's not a very good debater from the jump. So obviously, nerves and everything, it probably affects it even more than it usually does. I mean, here, look at me. Sometimes when I'm trying to think, because I take calls off the cuff, I don't prepare for callers. Sometimes you hear me, or I'll repeat a word a few times, like I just did. I went, I forgot what word I just repeated, but I said a word about 2 or 3 times just now before I said the rest of it. Some people have different tics when they're thinking. Some people just do different things when they're putting their words together. And obviously, if you're someone who just suffered from a stroke, it's going to be a little bit harder for you.
Well, I'm no doctor, but like as I said, I do think he's understanding what's being said. It's just phasia. It'll take a little while to recover from.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too.
Yeah, but knowing the average Joe, is a big question mark. I don't know how they are processing it, or how much people watch the debate to begin with, or if it will cause any shifts. But we'll see. We need a few days to process, right? But hopefully, people will be a little more understanding like us, right? And be able to tell the difference. But expect the right wing to make a field day, as you rightly said. They're going to jump all over this.
Oh,
right?
Of course.
Yeah. But I had another good topic on mine, and so that the John Fetterman stuff made me forget it. But it was, oh God, hey, see, I'm having it too. So it's complete and natural. But what do you call it now? There was something. Oh my goodness. So are
you okay, Dave?
I'm fine. Senior moment. But no, the oh God, this is horrible. I can't remember what I was gonna.
Maybe I should have hung up on you and left Spacco on the phone. Jeez.
Yeah. It goes to the point. We shouldn't overread these things. Oh yes.
So Dave, how you doing? What would you like to talk about today? Let's reset. Hey, what's your name? Where are you talking? Where you calling? Oh my God, I can't even do it now. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Dave from Jamaica, Matt.
Dave from Jamaica. I have a feeling you want to talk about Fetterman and Oz. What do you want to say?
Well, Oz kind of sucks. Oh yes, now I remember. The synapse clicked in now. So, how comes Oz didn't add Jesus in that list of people in the conversation room or what? Because you have your doctor, you have the woman, we have your local politician. That seems very busy, no? We're having your local politician.
A lot going on in that room. Yeah, a lot of guys are in there. A lot of guys.
We didn't ask Jesus,
Well, I guess it's just no need to be said, right? Of course, Jesus is in that room.
These rooms get hella crowded. but that's what I was going to ask is though. I've been seeing lots of poll numbers all over the place, and I can't really say what's going on, right? From what they're saying, the Dems have a good shot of winning the Senate, or at least keeping the Senate, right? And it seems like there's a good chance to lose the House. So
it's possible, yeah. It's looking. I mean, I don't want to say it's. I really don't know how things are going to go. It seems to be such a It really could go either way. I would say there was a point. I would say there's a point where it looked like Republicans were gonna do good. There was a point when it looked like Democrats were gonna do really good, and now I feel like it's like a complete toss-up. Do I think Democrats are gonna hold the Senate? Yes. The question is, do they gain anything? I don't know. Do I think Republicans are going to win the House? That I don't know. I really don't know. It really depends. It really depends how turnout is. It's really hard. I don't know.
That's the thing is, I've spoken with some friends who said the turnout looks like 2018 turnout, but they're not sure it's enough because evidently motivating conservatives, it doesn't take much. It just say random crap and they're ready to go, as we can see with when you were describing the mural, which reminded me so much of small town politics, right? The murals, it reminds me of, those busybody, overly religious folk who find the devil in, in their cold tea and all of that. And that's the thing. Yes, it's coming together now. I don't know. You're a parent, Matt, and you seem to have not gone insane. One of the few, but it seems I'm deeply considering we should ban Facebook if you're over 40 and you have kids, because evidently it will drive most people insane. So Matt, what prevented you from becoming a conservative weirdo? That seems a lot of young parents are going down this kind of wacky trend, or is it basically the friends you keep?
I mean, I guess I'm just not that person to begin with. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, listen, I'm a parent. Mm-hmm. I understand the concerns. I also understand not to be a freak. I mean, it's very bizarre, the reactions from some parents. And listen, my son plays soccer. I'm on the sidelines yelling, screaming for him, yelling at him what to do in that, hour of gameplay. Second he gets off that field, though, I'm giving him a high five. Good game. You have fun. That's what's important. They've lost every game, by the way. So that's important that he's having fun, and he is. And that's all I care about. I'll give him some tips and pointers, and next game in that moment during when he's out on the field, I'll be screaming and shouting because I'm into it with him, and I know he's having he cares and is into it. And when he gets off the field, I make sure great game. Did you have fun? He did. I mean, there are ways to be a parent and really care and also not be a freak. And it's not that hard. It's not like I'm towing some like really hard line. Like, just don't be a fucking weirdo.
It seems weird though, Matt, because like even I know some conservative parents, right? They're nowhere that they might make a snide remark, but they're nowhere that involved where they would just go down to a PTA meeting and just go bonkers. Something is up.
Right.
Something is definitely different.
Right. Oh, I did get mad at him once during the soccer game because at halftime he came off, and the whole first half I was watching him pick at his fingers, which is like a nervous tic he has, and like his fingers were like bleeding, and I was like, "You better stop that." I was like, "You got to stop!" Like I yelled at him. I was like, "You got to stop that. You should stop that right now. A, it's bad for you, and B, you're not focusing on the game because you're too busy doing this." That was the one time I was like, Mr. Dad on the field. Yeah. But that was related to the him injuring his fingers more than him playing the game. But yeah, just don't be a weirdo. It's like, listen, your kid is obviously important to you, but so is everyone else's kids to them. And obviously, like, if you care about your kid or whatever, then don't have them partake in whatever activity. Fine. I mean, I don't understand, like, some of these parents. Like, like the mural? Who gives a shit? You don't see it. Your kids pay no attention to it. You're just harassing a poor teenage girl. Like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
It is highly disturbing. It's what always worries me is active conservatives.
Listen. If you don't like partaking in a society, conservatives, then pull your kids out of school and homeschool them. Please homeschool them. Keep them away from everyone else's kids who want to partake in a society, who want to partake in a community, and you can teach them your weird shit in the comfort of your home. This goes for whoever. I don't give a shit. If you think that your sole belief that no one else seems to share is more important than the health and safety of the entirety of the school body, then just fucking keep your kid at home and homeschool them. And if you can't do that because you got to go to work, then oh well. These are the shit. This is the shit we deal with. This is the tangled web we weave. Right? You're the guy. You vote for the guys who don't want to provide any sort of parental help, any sort of paid child care. You're the ones who want to do this shit. You're the ones who push these sort of politics. Fucking live with it. Roll in the fucking dirty ass pig pen you lied in and fucking deal with it. Because I'm so sick and tired, especially as a father of two kids. I'm so sick and luckily it doesn't seem like this has been an issue with my kids yet. I mean, again, we are in Queens, New York. But I am so sick and tired of seeing this shit happen all over the country with certain parents thinking they can fucking use their crazy ass conspiracy theory beliefs. These aren't even real conspiratorial fake beliefs and pushing them on everybody else. Not only doing that, harassing children while doing it. These people are sick. They are sick.
I saw a comment in the chat say, well, come on, Dave, you're from Jamaica. Folks will go ballistic there too. And I would agree if there's a mural painted here, they would go ballistic. But over here, it's so conservative, I don't think the kid would even paint a mural because they would kind of know the heat's coming in. In the States, it's a little different. So the fact that she was able to paint a mural there kind of shows that the attitudes are at least better, if you get what I'm saying, Matt, right? The school better stand with her. I'm gonna follow this shit. The school better stand with that kid. I hope so too.
What a slap in the face of every student that goes to that school to partake in a safe community and learn in a safe environment. What a slap in the face it would be to every one of those kids if they take down that mural because of a few deranged parents. They were already deranged for putting that girl through that. She should not have had to be there to defend the mural. Any teacher could have stood up for that girl and spoken for her. There was no need to put her there.
It's just bizarre, man, because I don't know how these folks even have the free time. Half the time you'd be having trouble getting parents to PTA meetings, much less these conservatives have too much free time. Evidently things are going too well for them to have time to.
Well, that's the thing. This is the thing. This is where these people come from. Things are going terrible in their lives. So instead of doing something about it, advocating for good things, I mean, that won't be the hit they need, right? Because that's not going to be automatic. That's not going to be quick. Their lives aren't going to be fixed like that. It's going to take some work. They would also have to leave behind their horrible political ideologies to get past things that they actually want that would help them. Because the people that they support now don't give a shit about them. But they have horrible lives. And they need power over something. Yeah. So what do? What's the lowest hanging fruit possible? Harassing a teen girl who put up a painting in her school. It gives them power. It gives them something to do with their boring, meaningless lives.
100%. Sorry to piss you off, Matt, but yeah, I agree with you. Well, I don't want to end it on that, but I know you have a bunch of very good callers waiting up, Spocko, and for hopefully they won't have my issues with remembering what I was going to say. But Matt, also I'm still working on that soda thing, but evidently shipping stuff outside the country is a pain in the ass.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, you need phone numbers and it's so annoying. Can't a man send some beverages? But anyway, Matt, later and have a good one.
Take care. Always a pleasure talking with Dave from Jamaica. Hold on, I'm gonna give Spocko a second to call in because of what happened before. Let me see if he calls in. If he doesn't call in a second, I'll take the next caller. But Asher P, thank you so much for becoming a patron at patreon.com/Matt Binder. And Robot Monkey Cat resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1. They've been a subscriber for 12 months, another year subscription. My Prime sub is available, says Robot Monkey Cat, so whomever you raid will get it. No pressure. Ooh. And then we got Serious Business resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1. Another subscriber for 12 months. Whoa. Folks, thank you so much. 2-year-long subscribers right there. Oh, I guess Spocko's not calling in. I'm sorry. Let me message him just in case. All right, let me take this call really quick, and then we'll see if Spocko gets back. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Matt? It's Omega.
Hey, Omega. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I wanted to talk about, you remember that whole situation that happened in the Bronx regarding the cop car that careened off and hit the people that are on the corner there?
Wait, what?
So, long story short, in the Bronx, there was like some car chase, and the cop car kind of careened off onto the person they were chasing did a very sharp turn, and they were able to make it. The cop car, on the other hand, could not, so they ended up like going straight into the corner and then hitting several people.
I did not see this.
Well, long story short, I don't want to dox anybody, but I know a couple of the people that were involved there, and unfortunately, they were like not in the best condition. One of them had a baby with them. Fortunately, the baby only had like a minor enough injury that they could kind of heal from. Meanwhile, the others are recovering, but they're definitely not like conscious per se, because like they were not responding to stuff for a time. They were still somewhat okay, just a matter of them like responding and working on like instant fire or anything like that.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I can't really hear you either. You're kind of cutting out here. Sorry, Omega. I'm gonna have to let you go. Hello?
Hang on 1 second. Let me sort this out here. I think I know why.
Let me call back if you let me get to the next caller. Sorry, Omega. All right, let's go to this next call. Having some Skype issues. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, it's Spocko.
Hey, Spocko. What's up, my friend? What would you like to talk about?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. Very good.
Perfect.
I'd like to tell a Halloween story.
Ooh.
I'd like to tell a Halloween story.
Let's do it.
I'd like to tell a Halloween story.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, I had to. It was a point I was trying to make.
It's funny. I actually sent you a note earlier today. Didn't know that this was Alex Jones was what you're going to talk about, and because I had a great conversation with this woman, Sue Wilson, last week, where I found out that Alex Jones is broadcast on terrestrial radio in 25 stations around the country. And that is still going on. And I was, by the way, great guest. She was fabulous, answered all sorts of questions that I had, as well as talking about the big issue, which, again, as I always say, you're like 6 months ahead of everybody else, talking about the issues, knowing what's going on.
Oh, I think.
And but the thing that I thought the big kind of point that I think that you got and she got, kind of near the end there, was how he continues to use this to raise money. And even though he's been, deplatformed in a couple different places, he turned it into give me more money. And I think that this is a kind of an interesting aspect, because this is one of the ways that they used that was they got somebody, I think she referred to him at the end, Glenn Greenwald, and a couple, what else did she call them? Neo-lefty or something like that?
She's talking about those, she's talking about Red Scare and those types. Are you familiar with them?
I'm not with Red Scare, but I am Greenwald. Matter of fact, I bookmarked a couple of different tweets stream that he had, as well as some other people, where they use this this lie about what it was, they turn it into this free speech argument, and works to defend him. And this is one of the things that I also saw. I think Charlie Kirk did it, and somebody else I did, where they defend him by saying they're going to come after us next. They lie about the actual criminal defamation that got him sued, and then they go through and use that as a way to say it's a free speech argument. And I saw a thing from he's the NBC reporter who does Ben on hate speech. Ben Collins, I think it is. I don't remember what his name is. But he said this is a harassment case, pure and simple. But they have decided to turn it into a free speech case in order to get a defense. So, in my call with Sue Wilson, who I've known for some time, she had this focus on the FCC and broadcast licenses. And as a lot of people know, that the FCC has become this like rubber stamp that, it's really hard to get someone to lose their license. So what I would first, I have a question for you and your listeners. Something that I'd like to know was, and maybe your guest had knew this as well, what were some of the examples or the ways that Jones got kicked off of his deplatformed off the streams? What were the offenses that were used, and specifically, like, how did they work around them? How did they come back? And where does he stream now in a way? Because I'd like to know, because I know they always use that stuff against us when he keeps, going out to speak. So what were some ones that he got kicked off for?
I don't remember all of them. I remember there was one that was disparaging towards Muslim people. I don't remember the others. I think one was about immigrants.
Okay.
And it was.
And which platforms?
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
Okay. And then how did they handle that? Did they give him like 3
Apple started
strikes?
Apple was the first.
Okay.
It just took one of the social media these platforms, one of these big tech platforms, to do something, and then the others followed because they thought it would make them look stupid if they didn't do something too, I guess. But Jones had a number of strikes, but always just enough, I guess, to not get, spread out enough to not get banned completely. But Apple just removed InfoWars one day. They just said, we're not having this on our platform. They removed InfoWars. And then platform by platform, they started following suit and taking him down.
That is really interesting. And also Anna was great talking about the father who actually took on the social media and filed it because he was somebody who was getting harmed. Okay. And when I was talking to Sue Wilson about this, we talked about the history of the work that we had done, that I had done with Right Wing Radio. I told her about my work working with the Stop Beck, Angelo, who's now the president of Media Matters. I talked about working with Color Change and working with the Rush Limbaugh people to get them to defund them. I was always looking for the money thing. And so one of the questions that came up is, okay, so you hit him with Jones with all of these kind of, financial things or whatever to get him to stop. But he has said after his trial that he will keep defaming. There'll be new incidents of defamingness. The question is, so there is a mechanism, or is there a mechanism to say, all right, so you have these huge judgments against you and he'll appeal them or whatever, but it's this ongoing harm. And if we can't, the question is figuring out a way to stop the ongoing harm. And so I talked to her about looking at the multiple paths that have been used in the past to get it to stop ongoing harm. And we came up with this kind of a metaphor that I heard her use, talking about particularly public broadcasting, which is the Union Carbide Bhopal with their toxic gas. And it got released into the community. All right. And it's you can't necessarily avoid it. Broadcast radio in that community is like a toxic gas. On one hand, you can't avoid it. On the other hand, it is something that is supposed to, because of the FCC, benefit the community. Now, if you have somebody who's clearly ongoing harm and you catch him doing it again, even after he's been told to stop, then what kind of pressure can be put on the radio station? You say, all right. And this is one of the things that I just, try to confirm this with Glenn Kirshner, and I'm going to talk to some civil lawsuit lawyers, which is the judgment that he has against him. What if he has a new offense, and it is, we alert the radio station and say, hey, I'm telling you right now that he's continuing his harm, and I'm sending a note to you to saying you can choose to keep him doing it, but if you do, then you will be part of a future case for aiding and abetting. And then make sure that the Sandy Hook lawyers know, the future lawyers know, and the FCC knows. So it's kind of like if he ignores, the rulings for that case, the actual station, the people who, you could lose your license over this, or you're just going to be sued. Your business that owns the station license, you will be part of the lawsuit. So, and the point of this was, and the same thing I was working on in terms of the intimidation and threats. How do we deal with ongoing harm? And what Anna had brought up, which I thought was really important, was she talked about how people have mischaracterized what it was that he got sued for. And I saw Tucker Carlson do this. He says, well, they're going to come after you for saying mean things to doctors, or like that. It's like, no, there were death threats, bomb threats that were made to specific individuals at the hospital. What was it? trying to remember, Vanderbilt Hospital. So I've been trying this last couple of weeks to get a hold of the attorney for the Children's Hospital Association. They won't return my calls. I spoke to an attorney who on Sam Cedars on the tort things, which I know you've done those with Sam with the torts.
Right.
That was great. She had an attorney from Levin Papantonio talk about a future case that she's working on, which has to do with how Facebook and Meta have made this product that is, one, is addictive, but it's not the addictive part they're going after. It is that after the kids are addicted, like it's the younger kids, like on Instagram or what, they then is leading to self-harm. So they're working on a product liability case as a way to deal with the CDA section 230 in terms of their liability. So it's not about what the people say, it's about how Facebook takes that information, amplifies it, and they put it up on, Sam used this, the analogy, upper right-hand corner of the newspaper. It's like people are going, Sam, what is the upper right-hand corner of a newspaper? Why is that important? Like people are going, what? But he's talking about amplifying this. And so, I was talking to Sue, and I, as you can see, I tend to go on. But as I was talking to Sue about this, I said, getting back to how do you deal with specific harm for somebody who, is a scofflaw, will ignore it, won't stop? What can you do if you can't stop him? Then what are the different methods to go about to stop the continuing harm? And this is, and I think again, it turns into this, it's a free speech thing. And I don't know if I'm sure you've been following this, the intimidation, the voter intimidation that they're doing in Arizona, where the guy with the gun shows up and I'm just sitting here, I'm just, and he's videotaping things. How do you deal with the stopping the continuing harm we're thinking about? And they are, I like to say forensically aware, but that's not the right word. They're First Amendment aware. They're legally aware. They say, like, I'm 80 feet away. I'm not 75 feet away. I'm not intimidating them because my gun is legal. They'll use the law system, but it's actually, what's the narrative? How do we stop them from ongoing instead of the narrative that intimidation is failing, and but the police don't arrest him. Well, then who's supposed to arrest them? And it becomes this thing, and then the media will turn this into a free speech thing and a legal parsing thing instead of this is intimidation. Full stop. Something needs to be done. Full stop. What can it be? And then also, and this is the another level issue is we have politicians who will continue to encourage this, and they are never having any, there's no impact on them. So it becomes this intimidation continues working. There's only upsides for the people doing it. We're not showing them any downsides, and their narrative, just like Jones is using this, he losing the judgment to raise money. So there need to be additional methods. And the big thing that I said, which is really hard, and I feel like and you and I have talked about this before, which is, how do we, it's the S word. How do we silence him? And I kept going back to, all right, let's look at the Pope Paul thing. It's a toxic gas that kills people. Now, you can tell them it's a toxic gas, kills people after the fact, and you say, oh, we're going to stop doing that. We'll tweak the gas, because not all gases are toxic, so that some of the gases we make are fine. And that's what they'll do. It's like I didn't say I was going to kill a specific person. I'll change the word slightly. So I said, I didn't name a name in a defamation case. That's their cleverness. And you go to, all right, well, then what do? Wait till they have another specific thing, and then, we'll do another case. Well, we can't stop them because that's the what's the thing, the legal people, they call it prior restraint. I'm like going, okay, as somebody said here, do you put people in jail because they've, done certain things? I think one of the guests at Daredevil, I think, said that. Well, how do you go about when someone doesn't pay up? Well, you put them in jail, pay up. That's what I'm looking at, is stopping future harm. What are the methods? And also the narrative that it is bad. This is bad, and it is worthy to stop it, because we know that even in the First Amendment cases, when you dishonestly yell fire in a crowded theater, the stampede could lead to harm. So that's where this disinformation tweak comes in. And this is, I think, a message that your guest was really good about this, and I think you were kind of focusing on that as well. Focus on the harm, see that is a valid harm, and not do this slippery slow stuff, and then continue to act on it. We won, we beat him, and we need to keep talking about beating him and not using it as oh yeah, but he'll get away with it.
Right. Yeah, that's, geez, Spaco, well said all around.
Well, thank you. I've had a really rough day today.
Well, I thought you wouldn't have known it from that.
Well, I do. And the thing is like your guest, I was like, I said the last time I was on here, I really learned a lot, from listening to them. I also like to know, again, it is, when I watch the streams and how people respond, and, that they're the trolls and people respond in certain ways. And I go, it's not necessarily our response that is, like their response, we can say, oh, they're going to do this. It is how we think about harm that comes from speech that is very clear, but it is used by people like on the far left, Glenn Greenwald is a way to I don't quite know how to describe it. If you don't mind, I wanted to read one of his clips that I had bookmarked to show what it was that he did. And this was one, and also it's our friend Taylor Renz says, the worst, most vile arm of this regime are the censorship-mad liberal employees of big media corporations. And he lists Ben Collins.
Oh, right. I remember this. Right.
Yeah,
Go
Bandy
ahead.
Zardoff, Taylor Lorenz, New York Times Tech Unit, masquerading as, quote, journalists, then align with the scummiest Dem groups, Media Matters for America, to silence and deplatform. Okay? So that's how he positions what they're doing. And then he goes into this, I would say, attack on other people. And it starts out with like, he says, it is astonishing to watch Dems and their allies and media corporations posture as opponents of fascism, quote, fascism, while their main goal is to, quote, unite state and corporate power to censor their critics and degrade the internet into an increasingly repressive weapon of information control. So one of the things I learned from Sam is like, you always stop at the first premise, don't let them get away with their first premise, that they are, their main goal is to posture as opponents of fascism. Their main goal is to, quote, unite and corporate power to censor their critics. That's the thing that they will use. And I saw it being used by, not Matt Walsh, about Matt Walsh. It might have been by Tucker Carlson, where he didn't say that the people at Vanderbilt got bomb threats. All right. He said they said mean things about doctors, and then they focused. Yeah. Backlight. So it starts right off there with the lie, and it goes out to all of their audience. I have been trying to look at and find out how it is that Tucker Carlson, what would be the pressure on him and on his bosses that wouldn't be turned around into, oh, I'm the poor victim. All right. And they filed the three hospitals, the Children's Hospital Association, the pediatrics and the AMA all filed a letter with Garland at the asking them to investigate this and look into who it was who was spreading this. And we know that Carlson has lawyers working with him, and he thinks, oh, well, if I just, and I love the way you started the show. I'm just asking questions. That is methodologies that they use to put themselves into the position of I'm the victim if you come after me, and that I did nothing wrong, and the wrong is being done by these people. So I'm thinking, okay, so let's say that I am the lawyer for one of the executives at Vanderbilt, or the CEOs, the people at Children's Hospital, and you do what you do. You go to the criminal thing, the AG, and you get them. So then what do you do to go for a civil case? And you can say, well, we can't go after Tucker because he's like a journalist and he was just asking questions, and he was, nobody expects it. It's entertainment. And I want to know, what would they do? I mean, what is it? Do they have a strategy, or do they just let the harm continue? And I don't know if they're going to tell us. I know they can have one, because I think the thing with the Alex Jones case, you saw how long it took, but there's a bigger thing, which is, the narrative. And what was distressing to me was how quickly it got turned into, on our side, but he'll never pay. And I did see the lawyer for one of the families say, we have brilliant bankruptcy lawyers who are incentivized to find out all of the information and how to get the money. So we will get the money. The question is he going to keep making money? And why is it that we're going to allow that to happen? Well, because commerce, because we believe in a higher idol of free speech, or because it's like Typhoid Mary, they're going to infect people again and keep them away from other people. Do we do that? Yeah, we do that all the time. We put people in jail when they're continued repeat offenders. So, Steve Bannon, will he have his podcast when he's in jail? Maybe, but he'll keep, raising money.
Oh, right, of course. And I'm sure he's going to make sure that he serves that term in a time when it would be least detrimental for his podcast.
Yeah. So,
Spacco,
sorry.
always a pleasure when you call in.
Okay. Thanks for letting me talk.
No, I truly, I love it because A, always great insight, and then B, it's like having another host on the show, so I get to just sit back and listen, which is rare. Which is rare when I'm, after the first guest, I'm usually the one, by myself doing the clips, and so it's a nice way for me to just sit back and enjoy my own show for once.
I've always said you're great at getting early guests, and by the way, your friend. Namanji, what was it? Nami? Check My Ads, the woman.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. She had a big win the same day as the Alex Jones thing, which was she got Procter & Gamble to walk away from the company that also funded Bannon. It was kind of like something called a weather app that was a front for funneling money to Bannon's radio station.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
That's a huge deal. And I'm so happy to have learned about her and know about what she's doing, because it's really important. And again, like today's guest learned a lot of things, and helping to stop them, grift in multiple ways is an important thing.
All right. Yeah, it's this is not the end of what we'll see here with Alex Jones, like Anna Merlan said, and I agree. I mean, I think will this hurt him? Sure, but he'll find a way. It's like in Jurassic Park. Yeah, well, hopefully, but it's like Jurassic Park when Dr. Malcolm says, "Life finds a way." These guys find a way. They'll never,
We'll find a way.
Right. Pretty good,
We'll
Alex
crush
Jones. Have a great night, Spocko.
Don't forget to buy my supplements.
I won't. Thank you, Spocko. Have a great night. All right, folks. I think that's going to be the show for today. No super chats. What? That's a first. All right, it's okay. We got a lot of Twitch. Maybe everyone did Twitch instead. Big success over on Twitch. A lot of subs. And got a few patrons too, which I'm really happy to see. That's what I was worried most about. So, honestly, no more calls, guys. Sorry. Gonna close up shop on the calls. I don't feel like I can give you any more calls here. All right. Who should I raid on Twitch? And if anyone gets a Patreon or a super chat or a Twitch subscription in while we do this, I'll be happy to call you out. Who should I Halloween story. People still going Halloween story. Who should I raid over on Twitch? Who's on right now? Oh, Keffels is on. Of course I'm going to raid Keffels. How can I not? I have not seen Keffels on in a while, so I have to raid Keffels. Oh, and she's doing a thing on Keemstar? Absolutely, am I raiding Keffels. Give me a second to just get this raid going. Here we go. Whoa, we got a super chat at the last minute here as I was getting the raid ready. Nick Maurer with a $20 super chat. Proud to be the one and only. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. Gonna raid Keffels now. Folks, stick around for Keffels. And thank you so much for a wonderful show. And I will see you all next time. Don't forget patreon.com/MattBinder, youtube.com/MattBinder, twitch.tv/MattBinder, and doomedcast.com, scameconomy.com, and I will see you all next time on Doomed.